Hi there, my name is Kelly Tingle. I'm Executive Director of the Rotary Club of Indianapolis, but I've also been a Rotarian since 2015, and I'm excited to be part of this club.
Hi there, I'm Tom Surgener, and I've been a member of the Rotary Club since 1981, approximately 35 years, and have enjoyed my membership through that. It just seems like yesterday, really, when you look at it. It's just all of a sudden it's 35, 36 years later.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Tom, you and I have known each other for a long time.
10, 12 years.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
we go back to Indiana County Association of Indiana Counties, and you worked there. And
I worked there, and I took care of all of our vendors and associate members, and you were at the time working for JP Morgan Chase. And
exactly.
we got to know each other a little bit then, and it's fun to circle back all these years.
Yes, it is.
So, but I didn't know you were a part of Rotary then, but you've been around a long time. Tell me about your first Rotary meeting, because from what I understand, it's a little bit different than our current Rotary meetings.
My first Rotary meeting, I was a guest in a gentleman by the name of Leroy Silva, who was a professor at Purdue University and a member of a triad of fellows that we represented the state of Indiana. And we were in Tokyo, Japan at the Imperial Hotel, and we had, Leroy was a Rotarian, and he took Fred and myself as his guest, and we went to the Rotary meeting, which really kind of perked my thoughts about Rotary. It was amazing to see all the international CEOs that were there and so forth. And so when we came back, I asked the bank about the fact I'd enjoy the opportunity to become a Rotarian when we had an opening. And at that time, the opening wasn't available, but I could become an additional member. And our current member at that time was George Clark, who is a past president, and he was the executive vice president and loan administrator of our company then.
So over the past 35 years, what changes have you seen in our club? Because I can imagine there's been quite a few. And yourself being past president, I'm sure you were part of some of those changes. So what have you seen that's different?
Well, I think we've seen quite obviously the membership has dropped some, but when I became president, this was the beginning of pretty much of an evolutionary move for more diversification in Rotary. Prior to that, one might say that it was an old boys club, and it was the CEOs of companies around. We had no female members whatsoever. That was changing, and I, in my office as president, followed Marcia Spring, who was the second lady to become president of Rotary Club behind Betty Stillwell, who had the first opportunity. And I think that's one of the major changes. The other thing that happened was that we were just evolving into a more diverse club, more active locally as we went down the way. Some of the things I saw happening, one was that was the 90th anniversary of the Indianapolis Rotary Club, and we had a big celebration, and we had about 6 or 8 members who were in their 90s, obviously not from the beginning, but there for that. As a change, we also had the international president, B.J. Radicule, who was a visitor here at Indianapolis, and we had a cocktail party for the directors and committee chairmen. So we had one-on-one conversations with him. We went out to the Ruth Lilly Center and planted a tree in his honor for he was here.
What other kinds of projects have you seen Rotary do in the community that you think are really important?
Well, let me start off this way. I really think the Rotary Foundation of Indianapolis, our Indianapolis Foundation, is one of the neatest things going, because we have a pretty fair amount of money now, and we're able to contribute to very worthwhile organizations. And in this contribution to them, we also have Rotarians active in these organizations. And the one thing that's changed recently in the last 5, 7, 8 years is the entrepreneurial grants that we give out, which really involves bringing in the member who say, I know about this need, and it's not a huge project, but they get it in, and then they can involve other Rotarians in that.
I love it because it's a great way for people to find their personal passions. So whatever our Rotarians are personally passionate about, they can go and serve. And it's a great way to get to know your fellow Rotarians. It's a great way, again, to be to make a difference in a small way. In addition to the incredible large grants that our foundation does, the small grants matter too. So I love that.
And I think the other thing is, who better to do business with than a fellow Rotarian? I mean, when you really think about it, if we all live by the four-way test and everything, and that doesn't mean that you get, a special deal, but because everybody's in business to make a livelihood, but you realize that you're dealing with somebody that you can trust, and you have a good feeling about that.
A lot of Rotarians have that aha moment when you've become a Rotarian. And the other day I was dealing with an issue in my personal life, and I actually stopped to think, is this fair to all concerned?
Yep, exactly.
And I was like, okay, that's it. I guess I'm officially a Rotarian now. That was my aha moment, is using that four-way test.
Sure.
And so,
I've carried the card around for years, and I've kept it in my office and carry it in my portfolio today when I go to meetings. And the whole point is, it's got to be fair to all concerned.
Absolutely.
Is it the truth? And I think if you live by that, you really have the ability to feel good about yourself every day in the business world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So on a more personal side, I understand you've got some exciting things coming up. Tell me a little bit
Big
about
news.
What's happening in your life, Tom?
Well, we are expecting our first grandchild. Our daughter's going to hopefully deliver the end of this month.
Yeah.
So we're back from Florida, and we're going to stay until my wife and I decide, mostly Maggie, that it's time to go back. So instead of being down there most of the winter as we are, we're going to be up here for a good 6 or 8 weeks, and we're just thrilled. This will be great, and
As someone with a young child, do I hear you saying that you and Maggie might be up for babysitting? Because I have almost a 2-year-old that I would love to be able to.
Trust me. My wife's already committed to that. She's committed 2 to 3 days, and both Elizabeth and her husband have the ability to work at home in their jobs. So,
wonderful.
So this is a cool deal for us.
That's
and
cool.
They moved back from Chicago, and they're going to be here to be with family. And as Maggie said, our time in Florida is not going to be what it has been. So we're going to be around here more, and we're looking forward to that. We really are.
Absolutely.
We're pumped about that. Yeah.
Well, and family is an important part of Rotary too.
Exactly.
And you were telling me you actually had the opportunity to bring your kids on a few Rotary trips that you did. So, I look forward to that, involving Elena, my daughter, in those family Rotary trips, and teaching her the four-way test and getting her involved in Rotary. So how have you engaged your family?
It was really a neat experience for us. As the custom is of the Indianapolis Rotary, the incoming president is allowed to and is paid for to go to the international conference. And it's a great learning experience while you're there. It really is. It just opens your eyes to the world and so forth about different Rotarians. And the year I was there, it was in Barcelona. So I talked to Maggie and said, this is a great time. Let's take the kids. So we took the kids, and they got to experience the international conference. And then once that was over, we flew from Barcelona to Athens, and then took a week cruise of the Greek Isles. And from there, we went back to Athens and flew to Paris and back. And quite honestly, I would have never had that opportunity if it wouldn't be for Rotary. And we were with Rotarians the whole time. There was a whole group out of the States that went over to Barcelona together, and then almost an equal number took the cruise. So that was a cool deal. And you get to see incoming presidents from Utah and Wisconsin and different places, and you get really quality time to talk to these people and hear what they do and how they feel about Rotary. And you find very quickly there's a common bond with it. You get that way. And,
so over the years, you've been a member of the club for over 35 years. For a lot of your professional career, you were a part of Rotary.
Yes.
Were you able to leverage your membership in Rotary to help grow your business, to help you develop personally and professionally?
No, that's a good question. I think the overall philosophy of Rotary helps you interact with your clients and your customers. And my philosophy was that, obviously, if we're putting a transaction together, we need to get the very best transaction possible for the organization.
Absolutely.
But then on the other side, your client needs to feel good about it. So I would say, really, this was an ability for me to understand how both sides have to come together and have a win out of the transaction. Yeah. And you don't have to make a killing, profitable deal at the cost to the other person.
Absolutely.
And if both people feel very good, you build a relationship there. And I was able to do that with, especially with our governmental clients, because I was involved in that for a number of years with the cities and counties and the state organization. And it's extremely important in their business philosophy because they get to know you, they trust you, and the retention of the business just comes that way.
Absolutely.
They want to do business with somebody they feel good about and that they feel they can trust. And that's what we've always tried to do in my career there.
Yeah, that's probably one of my biggest regrets is, I had looked into Rotary before, but it always seemed unattainable to me. I always thought, that's for somebody else. And now that I've been a member for a few months and helping to run this organization, I regret that I didn't apply sooner because I think it could have been a valuable opportunity to gain leadership skills. I think it could have been great for me to develop relationships around the community, to stay in the know, to really elevate me to a different level. And so I'm glad now that I found it, but I totally agree with you that, even if you don't necessarily gain a client out of Rotary, it helps to develop you as an ethical business person to really take you to that next level. So.
And the key there is you may not have won the particular sale at that moment, but there's tomorrow.
Yes.
And the other key thing about Rotary in my career has been, and especially with the people that followed me in the chairs and that were on the board and so on, we had a lot of very neat, substantial thinking people.
Yeah.
And so you get to interact and build a relationship. And I think in reality, you're only as good as the people that are around you. And they make you better. They really do.
The leaders I have been around since I took this position back in June. I've already learned so much and feel really grateful to learn from these incredible leaders. So I definitely agree with you there is these people challenge me and they make me better.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's all part of the Rotary and the involvement of many different people in Rotary in getting the diversification to the level that we're getting it to today. That's critical, I think.